must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
The witnesses of the Waki Commission. I took this petition to the court 4 years ago in order to make sure that the Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court does not use this evidence anytime in the future, whether tomorrow or 10 years to come, to refer to this evidence because the evidence was fake. It is with this dismay and with this courage that I took to go to court in Kenya to seek a judicial review and to redeem the credibility of both those accused and the victims of this catastrophe that occurred in Kenya, that I decided to seek to expunge this report from the reports and the statute books of Kenya. It is unfortunate that the 3 judges in Kenya, whom I will name now, Judge Kanyi Kimondo, Judge Aburil, and Judge Onyengo, all of them sat down and gave very silly, flimsy, prudish, sardonic ruling against our petition. I want to tell the Kenyans that I have done my best. I want to be on record that should this thing reappear again, don't call me. Should it reappear again, don't say I never told you. Should the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court use this fake evidence again against Kenyans, don't say I did not tell you. My role was to go and remove these obnoxious toxins from the books of the Republic of Kenya. I therefore want to tell the world that my torrid road, a long road that I've taken in search for this envelope, has ended in Kenya so far. But I want to announce that Kenya is not the only state party in international law. Kenya is not the only state party. I will in future, very soon, detail to you which other state party I'm going to seek this envelope to be expunged and to be made public to the people of the world. I want to thank you all. I want to tell you that a detailed document which is entitled My Long Road, Torrid Road to Work Envelope will be found on www.panafricanforumltd.com. You can read it, you can dissect, you can see the days, the long road, what I took, what I did, referenced, well documented, and may God help you that at one time somebody in Kenya will stand up to say thank you very much.
Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. I hope your Friday has started off very well. The show is The Punch. My name is Miriam Ogoto, and today we shall continue looking at the topic we started the other day, but rather tied on the unity in diversity, and that is what the BBI is seeking to achieve through that handshake that came from President Uhuru Kenyatta and his partner there, Raila Odinga. But before we get into that conversation, I'll first go through the three leading newspapers this morning. But before that as well, let me bring us up to date with the latest statistics in regards to COVID-19, and then I'll introduce my panel. Kenya this morning, the confirmed cases stands at 80 million, 80 million, not 80 million. Oh, that will have been a shocker. Like, that is half the world. But 80,000 cases, 102. The death toll is 1,427. Recoveries is at 53,526. And Uganda, the cases there also have continued to go up. Today, the confirmed cases there stands at 19,115. The death toll in Uganda is 191, and recoveries is 8,840. And the total cases in Africa this morning is at about 1,722,002. Recoveries, recoveries at 1,383,556. And the death toll in the continent is 56,225, and the global cases have reached 61,308,613. The global deaths is at 1,437,840, and recoveries stands at 42,396,651. So we're not doing very well in terms of the figures there, and a lot of countries and indeed across the world have seen either a second surge or a third surge, and so some restrictions have been reintroduced, others have been tightened, and in Kenya I think we're still monitoring on how this thing is going, and maybe that will advise the next move the government will take in regards to safety for Kenyans, so that we're able to curb the spread of COVID-19. Well, the ban on political rallies has gone a long way into helping that, but of course you've seen the numbers continue to go up because rallies have not happened for 2 or 3 weeks. But before then, we used to have very active political activities that attracted a huge crowds, and that was a super spreader. And so that is the numbers that we continue to see there in the daily cases that are being recorded in the country. So I'm being joined by Daniel Wesonga from Nairobi. Daniel, good morning.
Yes, very, very good morning, Miriam Ogutu, Javan Karanja, and my friend Douglas Krimi, our viewers in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. Good morning.
All right, good morning. And also we are joined by Javan Karanja from Nanyuki. Javan, good morning.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning, Wesonga, Douglas, and our viewers wherever they're watching us from. Good morning.
Very well, and we are also joined by Douglas Kirimi, who has no kind words to our Deputy President. I don't know what he'll be saying today because we have a lot to talk about, Douglas, today. So good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam at Punchline Studios. Good morning to the crew. Good morning to Sean Wesonga in Nairobi. Good morning to Javan in Nanyuki. And good morning to our viewers around the world. And thank you for having me today.
All right, it is a pleasure. So as we usually do it on The Punch, we shall go through the headlines and then we shall look at our topic of discussion. And then at the tail end of the show, everyone will give us something that stood out for them for this week, the things that we've been looking at and the stories that have been making headlines in Kenya and also across the world. Trump is close to conceding, but not yet, but he's there. But at least he said that come January 20th, he shall vacate the White House. So that is a good thing, Daniel. Maybe it's just his way of saying nilishindwa, but he can't just say that outright.
Yes, he doesn't have any otherwise. Everyone saw whatever happened, and the USA, the threshold of democracy that is there and the transparency in the election, save for whatever propelled him into office, the interference. It's a very democratic country, and we trust that those with us who are really credible and represented the views and the aspirations of the people of America.
All right. So let's just get into our own news here. A lot of things that have been happening. So we start with the Daily Nation, and the front pages there say BBI splits Ruto camp. Yes or no? The Tanga Brigade has won some and lost some in the BBI scheme of things. But the moment of reckoning is here, and opinion is still divided on the position it will take. So let's just get into that story there on page 4 of the Daily Nation and see what Deputy President perhaps is likely to do now moving forward. So confusion has rocked Deputy President William Ruto's camp after some proposals it had opposed were dropped by the Building Bridges Initiative team, sending the DP side scrambling to clothe the resistance in new narratives. All right, we talked about that yesterday. Well, the DP's allies have been outspoken when contracted for comment on the BBI's yesterday's proposed constitutional reform. Yesterday, some of the vocal lawmakers interviewed were unusually reluctant to discuss their next course of action, and those who spoke appeared to send mixed signals. But there are those who still maintain their position, albeit introducing regional grievances. All right, so now we see a shifting goalpost there. But at the introduction of that story there, Javan, we see a lot of them, the things that the DP and his allies, and indeed other people had raised, even the church had raised some concerns there. They were included, and the changes were made in the BBI report. I guess perhaps the DP and his allies did not really expect that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and of course the team there were going to include some of these changes. So they were caught off guard. So now they are confused. I thought that should have been a good thing for them.
Yeah, Miriam, one thing that we must understand is that these people have not been opposing the BBI from a point of understanding or because their views are not included. They are just opposing it blindly and without any point of genuine concern, because they feel like this is a move to curtail the deputy president from becoming the president. And they wanted to paint the BBI process as one that is not inclusive, that has sidelined people with contrary opinions. But when the government of the day, through His Excellency the President and the former Prime Minister, included some of the concerns that the Deputy President had when we were launching the BBI, I think that is when they were thrown into a point of disarray and confusion. That is why they like not really understanding where they stand. But Miriam, on the onset, and now it's coming to the light that they are not opposing BBI because of any genuine concern. They are doing it because of their interest and thinking that the Deputy President will not, through BBI process, might not be on the ballot or might not be the President of the Republic of Kenya. Because Miriam, what we expected from the concerns, because they had a 4 to 7, 5 concerns, but almost a 3/4 of them, the BBI's expert have tried to put them in concerns. When you look at the issue of the IBC, the National Police Council, the Judiciary Ombudsman, you'll see that they have tried a bit to make sure that this process is not only inclusive in the public domain, but is also inclusive in matters of their proposals and in matter of the inclusion in the document. Therefore, Miriam, that is why I told you yesterday that the likes of Millicent Omanga, you see the kind of confusion that they are in now, because they are not really sure whether they'll continue supporting the Deputy President, who seems not to agree with anything. Because Miriam, what I expected from the Deputy President, as a person who had concerns with those issues, they have been considered. What he could have done, he could have done what Musalia Mudavadi did. Musalia Mudavadi was one person who raised and was calling for consensus. But yesterday he came out on a press conference and said that now, because some of the issues that he had have been considered, then he will support the document. The same to the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He had an issue with the IBC, and for him, he favored the IBC to be nominated and or to be by political parties. But that one didn't see the light of the day. But he said that he will not oppose the document because his views were not included. Because at the end of the day, this document is not about the politicians; it's about the people and the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, from the side of those people, the church, because they have not come out to say whether they will support the document, the Muslim and the civil societies, I think that they have been confused. And this, Miriam, is a point where when you stand and you have no clear principles, that is the kind of confusion you get yourself into. But moving forward, Miriam, I expect even in the Tanga group and even the church, we'll see divided opinions even from those people who are in that group. Because when you see even, you look clearly in the Tanga wing, now whatever now they have started doing, they are talking of the expanded parliament and the number of parliament, and they are making it look like it's so big. And Miriam, I think that is an issue that can be addressed through the Salary and the Remuneration Commission to ensure that the salaries that they get is halved. That I think is a clear way. Therefore, they should not worry about the numbers of representatives, because at the end of the day, they were the champions of the two-third gender rule, and they were the one who was supporting the dissolution of the parliament. Now the BBI has given a solution, but they look like they are not in favor of that solution, and to them they have no solution. Therefore, Miriam, it is now the BBI has left the station, and those people, Miriam, they will still being more confused, because at the end of the day, you'll see some of the Tangas and the church and the civil society decamping and coming to support the document, those who do it from a genuine point of concern.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jevan. So that part of that story, Douglas says, DP side scrambling to clothe the resistance in a new narrative, surely. What I was expecting is hashtag unity, hashtag cohesion, hashtag a few victories. But why would they want to clothe their resistance in another way when a majority of the things and they had raised have actually been listened to and have the changes have been implemented there in the BBI? Douglas.
You see, Miriam, we have said before, for over 30 years, when Deputy President was in university, then he came into politics, he was never known as a reformer. He was never known as a fighter for the people. And one thing that we need to also appreciate is that the Deputy President has and is always moving in a way that is not going to help anyone, including himself. Why? The Deputy President has retreated, has taken a tactical retreat. He's been talking about opposing BBI for the last 2 years. And if you can check very well, Miriam, he has been funding anti-BBI rallies across the country for over 2 years. He's never bothered about taking his views, or even those from his team taking his views. Remember, it is the same deputy who had refused to take a Huduma number. And his followers were saying they were waiting for his signal. The man had taken a tactical retreat, including when his views have been captured. He chose to take mandazi and read newspapers from his current office. So we are seeing a deputy who wants to praise his masses. We are seeing a deputy who wants to praise the people who think that he under a plan. But his plan was to have a bigger movement that is going to counter the BBI train. But the state machinery has outsmarted him, because at the end of the day, he can no longer oppose BBI the way he wanted it to be opposed. Remember, he led charged political meetings across Mount Kenya. He was talking to people and telling them how they are supposed to make sure that the BBI report force across Mount Kenya. I think after his own analysis and all that, then he saw the next thing he's going to talk about is a consensus. The Deputy President is welcome on board. If he wants to come now, we have no problem. The proponent of BBI, we have no problem with the Deputy President coming on board. But the Deputy President has never wanted to be on board the BBI train. The Deputy President is a fake reformist who wants to show his followers that he is a leader that can be able to marshal enough support. And as of now, I think he's got some intelligence, and he has seen that he cannot be able to counter the wave of BBI across the nation. Except where he has been moving across Mount Kenya, 2-3 counties. There's nowhere else that he can be able to command people and people listen to him. And remember, he is also planning to run for president in 2022. So he cannot be able to afford to run two campaigns. And also, I believe it was a miscalculation from the Deputy President, and he miscalculated this thing. He thought the the former Prime Minister and the President coming together was very cosmetic. So the Deputy President thought this relationship or handshake was very cosmetic. It wouldn't amount to anything. Actually, at one point, he dismissed it as a passing crown. He said the fire and everything about BBI will end, and then people will go back to their normal lives. But the truth of the matter is the deputy president miscalculated this thing. He forgot that a combination of Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the president, and Mr. Ondinga, who is the former prime minister, is a combination that has to go to its conclusive end. The deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, Miriam, and no plan. And no plan at all to be able to counter BBI if it comes to this end, because he called it a passing ground.
All right, very well. So the lack of a clear direct line of attack that the camp had sustained in the days leading up to the release of the draft constitutional amendment bill on Wednesday was apparent, suggesting that the team had not yet fashioned a common response to the latest developments. I'm reading from page 4 of the Daily Nation there. And just someone there also said earlier on Wednesday, a tweet circulated purportedly by Jubilee-nominated Senator Millicent Omanga. A Ruto ally indicated her support for the BBI bill, saying the contentious issues had been addressed. The legislator denied sending the tweet, and this is what she's quoted as saying, "I've reported the illegal impersonation and mischievousness intrusion of my Twitter account to the authorities, and I demand an immediate action. I have my views on the BBI, which I'll share with Kenyans, as I've always done. Kindly disregard the previous tweet as it wasn't made by me." I'm sure Daniel uliona hiyo.
Miriam, that's a clear description of a minion or a puppet, someone who is there to be used in any way by a political figure. That is what Millicent Omanga is. She does not have an independent mind of her own. She does not make choices and decisions of her own. Rather, she waits upon the deputy president to give direction, even in the simplest matters that any Tom, Dick, and Harry can make a very resolute decision about. And just to add on what my good friend Douglas and Japan has said, is that these are people who never had any tangible ideologies. They never had any principalities when talking about the BBI report. And whichever thing they believed in is that our leader is opposing the BBI report, and therefore we have no other obligation than also to subdue and be able to rally behind him. And that is why right now, because William Ruto is held in a catch-22 situation, he doesn't know whether to support or oppose the BBI report. All of his team, his ground battalion, is thrown into disarray because they don't know the next course of action. But what I will advise them is that let them read the BBI reports, and just like any other politician, we saw Musalia Mudavadi yesterday coming out and saying that whichever views that he wanted incorporated in the BBI and whichever recommendation that he wanted altered in the BBI were considered, and therefore the BBI is a wholesome document, and he and his team are going to support it quite absolutely. So that is what the Tangatanga group should do. They should not be waiting upon William Ruto to read for them the report and tell them the next course of action. I believe they represent various electorates, and their electorates have various views depending on whatever is the BBI. We have people who come from arid and semi-arid areas who are represented by MPs who are in Tangatanga. We have people from Western, we have people from Nyanza, we have some from Coast, we have some Central. So therefore, our problems as a country, we have to look at what the BBI is addressing and be able to really align them with our problems on the ground and be able to see which sections that were addressed sufficiently. And from there now we can form a basis of whether to support it or oppose it. But as it is right now, Miriam, whichever picture that is being painted is of a group that never believed in any ideology in regards to BBI report. And therefore, that tells you that whatever they were doing was just petty politics, just playing delaying tactics, wishing that at some point the BBI process could encounter technical quagmire so that it doesn't go forward. But as it is now, right now, the issues that they raised, a majority of them have been addressed. And therefore, if you can look at it and you see that 80% of the issues that you raised have been addressed, what is then the question is, what is then holding them from now unanimously endorsing the document? That shows you that these were people who are not opposing the BBI report because of its content, but because they believe that the BBI report perhaps was an impediment towards ascendance of their demigod, their master, William Ruto.
All right.
I rest my case.
All right, very well. So we know that there is a proposal there by Raila that he had made in regards to the IEBC that was also removed from that report, and that is just one of the things that Ruto was uncomfortable with, and that is the selection of the commissioners that make up the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the electoral body here in Kenya. And let's just read that story on page 5 of the Daily Nation. Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga's camp says the deletion of a proposal to have political parties nominate electoral agency commissioners from the constitutional amendment bill does not imply the end of its quest for poll reforms. Mr. Odinga's allies says reforming the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission can still be done through Parliament, adding that the Building Bridges initiative report details constitutional, legal and administrative changes. So in short, Raila, who is one of the key founders of this process, and one of his major thing that he wanted included in the BBI was removed, but we don't see him whining about it, because we know IEBC has been at the center of the chaos that we see in our electoral process, and so he had introduced, proposed, and I think Kenyans also, some of them had proposed that these changes there that they wanted included in the IEBC, but that was deleted after DP Ruto and I think a section of the church and a section of other Kenyans said they were not very comfortable with this move. And so the team deleted, I think for the sake of unity and cohesion, and just to ensure that, because IEBC is a very sensitive institution, and so we don't want it being shrouded with some doubt even before we set up for our elections come 2022. So that was removed because you do not want anything that touches on IEBC to be a bone of contention. You want, being the referee in the election, there should be some level of fairness and trust in the institution. So that was removed. But we don't see Raila complaining and whining about it, Javan. But we know this is something that he really, really wanted to be changed.
Yeah, Miriam, you see, that is a person. And when you look at the history will tell you that the former prime minister is somebody who have stood for reforms. And I've seen when we had in the early 1990s and the late 1980s, when we were looking for the multi-party democracy, he was at the center stage of ensuring that we have a multi-party democracy. And he went on the street also, and he brought all these changes. And when he had a chance to form their own political party, they formed a very vibrant opposition that looked and checked the government of the late President Moi. And when we came to 2005, he later supported. He opposed a referendum. Therefore, this is a person who have been in the. When you look at him, he has a diverse views, and he is a revolutionist. And in 2010, in the culmination of around August and the promulgation of the 2010 constitution, he was the person with the former President Moi Kibaki. They brought the 2010 constitution that brought the big thing that we celebrate today called devolution. Therefore, he has been in the center stage of these reforms. And Miriam, from what we see former Prime Minister doing, this is to show that he was not interested in the process, and this process is not about him. It's about the will of Kenyans. And Miriam, when you see a principal and a driver of such process taking and shedding his concerns and saying that because this is what Kenyans want, then I will not oppose it. And he accepted that, then that shows that he really trusts in the process of bringing change in this country. And the BBI is one thing that is bringing change and empowering devolution and ensuring that we have equality and shared prosperity, and the fight against corruption is realized. Therefore, this is a progressive document and is a good process. And Miriam, when you look clearly, and you have asked a bit earlier, why are these people who were calling for consensus now, they are not supporting the document even after some of the issues were brought in board? Therefore, this, Miriam, is to see that at the end of the day, these people are not having any genuine reason to even to oppose the document. And when you look at them and you compare with the former Prime Minister, in the case of the Prime Minister, some of his concerns were removed. but he is still supporting the document for the wellness and well-being of Kenyans.
And not just
but for these
concerns.
people,
That was very key. That is something that Raila really, really wanted to be included there, but it was removed. And we don't see him whining about it.
and Miriam, you see, he has been this is a person who have suffered in electoral injustices, Miriam. When you look from 2013, and 2017, he has been in, when you look at 2013 and 2017 general election, he went to court. And the Supreme Court made his determination. And in 2017, there was also the nullification of the presidential election. Therefore, the former prime minister, he had a heart, and we can agree with him when he says that the ABC needs to be checked, because he suffered, he knows the pain of a rigged election or electoral malpractices. Therefore, when he surrenders such kind of an idea for the sake of Kenyans, then that is a genuine concern. And on the other side, those people who have been opposing the process, Miriam, I think they were doing so, and they underrated the process. And to their surprise, they have seen that this thing that they underrated is coming, and it is taking shape. And Miriam, there's nothing bad that can surprise you than when you underrate something, and at the end of the day, you see it getting momentum, people supporting it, and all manner of things. I think that is the confusion that we are going to see. And the people who have been opposing this thing will continue even getting more confused. At the end of the day, you might see even some of them supporting the document, while others will still oppose. And Miriam, something Douglas have said, when you look at the character of the form of the character of the deputy president, you see that he has never been in the center stage of reforms. And in 1992, when people were looking for the multi-party democracy, he was on the opposing side, and he supported the regime of President Moi. In 2010, when we were looking for the new constitution, he went on board to oppose the constitution. Therefore, Miriam, and as I said yesterday, we don't need to say that the deputy president is opposing the BBI now. What he is doing, he is just maintaining his principles and characters, because at the end of the day, Miriam, these are things that you cannot change so easily. Therefore, Miriam, for where it stands, Miriam, the deputy president is doing what he has been doing through his political career, and he will continue opposing this thing until, Miriam, I know the only thing that will make the deputy president support, I am not in his team, but I think is when we alter the expanded executive and we say there will be no prime minister or the deputy prime ministers, that time he will support the document overwhelmingly, Miriam, because I think to him he feels like when we have those seats, we are creating, and they termed as a Beba Baba Ikulu, and they think those seats are designed and they are there for prime minister as Raila Odinga or the President Uhuru Kenyatta. I think that is the only big concern that he has at the moment, and that's something that will not change. Miriam.
All right, so and it's not like Raila will occupy all those seats, I'm sure, and Raila is not even going to be there forever, so I don't know. But that also is one of the key things that the DP perhaps are driven, as you say there. If it were to be changed, then maybe he will warm up to the idea of supporting the BBI. And it's very interesting that from the story we've been reading there, and now there's scampering, because now they have to find another way of clothing the narrative as to why they're opposing the BBI. So let's just continue on the front pages there before we continue with this BBI process, and then we'll get into our topic of the day, which is unity in diversity, and why the BBI is timely, and perhaps why all our politicians from across board perhaps needs to just stop with the shenanigans and just come together, find a way to move Kenya forward in a united fashion. So we shall just look at that. But on the side there, inside fresh plot to kick out Sonko, and a phone call from State House and a meeting at ODM party leader Raila Odinga's Capitol Hill office sealed the fate of Bilingwed Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, setting in motion a fresh plan to remove him from office. The second impeachment bid has been a long time coming, with sources saying it was only a matter of when and not if there would be another move against the former Makadara Member of Parliament. According to multiple sources who spoke to the nation, Mr. Sonko crossed the red line through constant actions aimed at frustrating the operations of the newly newly formed Nairobi Metropolitan Services. This includes denying the NMS funds. His recent barefaced attacks on President Uhuru Kenyatta were the last straw. The sources added plans to impeach Mr. Sonko were mooted earlier this month. But it was not until the meeting at Capitol Hill on Tuesday between the County Assembly leadership and Mr. Odinga that things were firmed up. This was after the president reportedly asked the Jubilee leadership at the Assembly to meet the former premier to tighten the plan. So Sonko is in trouble again, and 86, that is the motion, that is the number of MCs out of the 112 that have signed the petition to impeach Governor Mike Sonko. Only 42 are needed to ratify it. Douglas, how do you see this playing out?
Mr. Sonko is going home, and is going home earlier than anticipated.
You're saying that with a lot of confidence. Douglas, you don't even have a vote in that chamber, but go ahead.
No,
Okay.
Mr. Sonko is going home, Miriam.
Yes.
Because number one, what Mr. Sonko is doing is undermining the president and every initiative that the president has done. Mr. Sonko, as a Jubilee Party member and who is a Jubilee governor, should also respect the president and also should have channels of addressing the president and also including their own party. I'm not a member of Jubilee Party, but I can tell you confidently that Mr. Sonko is going home early in the morning because we've seen him insulting the president and also getting into the family and also insulting their family and all that. Miriam, I can forgive every man when they take my money and run away and everything, but they cannot insult my mother, insult my family, insult my wife, and also insult me. Mr. Sonko has no break on his mouth. Mr. Sonko has reached a point of no return. He has reached a point of the age of diminishing returns in politics because now his time is up. Remember, Mr. Sonko has a prison term that he's supposed to serve in Shimoratewa. Mr. Sonko is a fugitive. He's run away from prison. And the president and his party have been so lenient, they gave him the governorship of the capital city. So, Mr. Sonko, I think the best thing he would do as a patriotic Kenyan, even before he insults the president, he needs to go to Shimoratewa, serves his term, goes home, then he maybe can redeem himself and come back to the society because he's mixing too much too much emotions in all this. Again, we all have our differences with the president. The deputy president have had differences with the president, but we have never had the deputy president insult the president directly. So the Sonko kind of politics, we don't want them in Nairobi. Remember, Nairobi is the capital city of the region. Not only this country is the capital city of the region, and this is the gateway for business and everything that is done in this city. So the first mistake I think Mr. Kenyatta in his legacy wants to undo is the mistake of Sonko. The same way they undid the mistake of Waitito in Kiambu. I don't know where these people emerged and also took tickets and got elected. Mr. Sonko is going home. And all the things that he has done in Nairobi, including corruption. Imagine, Miriam, Sonko stole money from Nairobi coffers. People have been talking about Sonko being a billionaire or a millionaire, whatever it is. But Sonko stole over 300 million from Nairobi County coffers. Then he had to do out of court bargain. He had to do bargain plea. Why would a thief do that? He should have been impeached a long time ago. Nairobi is not the capital of crime and also stealing public resources. NMS has come, it has fixed the city, it's fixing the slums and everything. Actually, I'm proposing that every county that has corruption issues like Sonko's and everything, instead of impeaching the governor and also putting the county on some all manner of things, the president should appoint a general like Ibadi and take over Nairobi County. So, Miriam, my humble submission is, without further ado, Mr. Sonko is going home. The signatures have been put there. The impeachment motion is going on. And there's nothing, including the president himself now. He cannot stop Sonko from going home. He has reached the end of diminishing returns in Nairobi County governorship politics. He needs to go home and respect the president.
Okay. Daniel, is Sonko's goose
cooked?
Yeah.
First and foremost, the good works that the good general has done in Nairobi is there for each and every one of us to see. When you walk in the city, the cleanliness of the city, the rehabilitation of of John Mishuki Recreational Park. We've seen sufficient supply of water around the city. We've seen recarpeting of roads along various streets in the city, and also our healthcare facilities in the slum areas and all the other areas in the city have been revamped and given a new energy. And therefore, such good works really exposes the belly of the rot and the kind of impunity with which Governor Sonko and his cronies operated the county. And therefore, it shows you, the difference between whatever Major Badi Abdallah is doing and whatever Sonko used to do. Is like day and night. The Major General is a worker. He delivers on whatever duties he's given. And that is the principle of the military. Taking orders from the boss and really executing them, devoid of bickering and any corruption related meandering and all that. So that tells you that Sonko's time is over. And even as Douglas says, the MCAs, the people of Nairobi really see the difference, a very big difference for that matter, in whatever the Director General of Nairobi Metropolitan Service is doing. And therefore, as a leader, Sonko has no place being in Nairobi, being at the helm of leadership in the county government of Nairobi. In fact, most of the important roles, 6 of them have been taken away from him. So therefore, and also when you look on the other side also, whichever kind of politics that we used to have in the county government, where an MCA had to pledge an allegiance to the governor before some county government projects which the citizens of this country are entitled to, the city dwellers are entitled to by the virtue that they went to the ballot and made their voices heard. You are to bow before the governor before these kind of projects are done in your ward or area of jurisdiction. That is not happening with the general. He meets the MCA, he looks at the projects and their viability, and then he goes ahead to implement them. So therefore, as it is, Sonko has been exposed. His incompetency is out there. People no longer want him back at the seat of the county government of Nairobi. And therefore, to that and so many other reasons, like the corruption scandal that Douglas had just mentioned, and the integrity matters also. You remember he has a case that he has never finished his jail term at Shimolatewa prison. And also a lot of very negative accusations that have come along his political life. Therefore, that gives it a threshold for his impeachment. And I believe on Thursday, when the MCAs sit to confirm those bases of impeaching Governor Mike Sonko, they shall be able to mobilize and muster enough numbers to second the motion and make sure that Sonko is sent backing out of the county governments of Nairobi, and we have the right leadership steering our city to the right direction. Right. That is my submission, Miriam.
All right, very well. And of course, Sonko signed off some of responsibilities to General Badi there, and I think a couple of days later and months that now have followed, Sonko seems to have, regretting that move that he made there. And so now Governor Sonko has refused to append his signature to the county's 37.5 billion budget, which allocated the NMS 27.1 billion Kenya shillings. And we know this is a project that is very close to President Uhuru Kenyatta's heart because he wants to leave a legacy, and part of it is a service delivery. And so because of the cartels and all that bureaucracy and all that and corruption that we've been seeing, he decided for me to change the lives of Nairobians and for certain things to be done the way I would want to have them done, or the way Nairobians want to have them done, minus the politics. Let me just go get me a general who will just be there for 2 years, do his job, and go back to the barracks. And after Badi started doing a lot of things, and even near my place, yesterday I was surprised to see I'm having very lovely cabro, being done. Just it's very interesting, very nice actually. So I'm very happy. And there was a place there that we were having a problem with some drainage, and they fixed that, and it's quite lovely when you drive through Park Road there. NMS has been working and doing wonderful things to Nairobians, and for Nairobians, sisi hatutaki fertilizer for for planting. Our demands are so basic, and so if whoever who is able to meet it, be it Badi, be it Sonko, be it who, I think Nairobians really don't care. We just want service delivery, all right? And there are people who had never seen water before, and now NMS has been able to put up some water points, and they're able to access that water, especially in the slum areas. So at this point, Nairobi don't even care about the politics that goes on. They are just happy that the things that they wanted are being provided for them, and that is what they care about. But by Sonko refusing to append his signature that will allow NMS to access 27.1 billion Kenya shillings to allow it to continue its work in Nairobi, I'm sure President Uhuru Kenyatta is not very happy with this. So are we likely to see this impeachment this time round, Javan, sail through, or maybe Sonko might have a change of heart? I don't know. How do you see this play out? Javan?
Javan is not around.
All right. So perhaps Douglas, you'll take that.
You see, Miriam, remember Sonko before Uhuru made a decision, President Uhuru made a decision to go and take over Nairobi County. Sonko has been crying their cartels in Nairobi. But we are made to understand that Sonko and his clique of people who would come back to Nairobi to start stealing. So the cartels were crashing. The Sonko red team were crashing with the other teams. But now we have a problem. When Sonko appended his signature on the transfer of functions, Sonko was saving himself from impeachment and possible jail term after he had stolen over 300 million from the Nairobi City County coffers. So at City Hall, Sonko was the epitome of corruption, incompetence, and lack of integrity. His morality as a leader were put in question and all that. We've seen Governor Sonko recording individual conversations that nobody does that. Sonko would make deals with you. When you go asking for money from him, Sonko would just go and record you. So Sonko is not going to change his heart, because Sonko is a showman. What he was doing, he was trying to save himself. But thank God that President and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga have been on the MCAs. They can never be bought. Sonko is going home in the morning. Sonko is going to Mua Hills, and after Mua Hills, the next destination is to go and serve his jail term, and also serve his term after he stole 300 million. Because over 300 million have been, 347 million have been lost in Nairobi City County. Why are we accepting mediocrity from our leaders? We cannot accept mediocre leaders who are subverting development, who are subverting the legacy of the people of Nairobi. People of Nairobi want paved pathways. They want tarmac. They want water. They want electricity. They want street lighting. What the people of Nairobi want is not a corrupt, incompetent, bring governor. No. They don't want a showman for a governor. They want someone that can work. And there's something we need to make very clear to Kenyans, that Major General Badi didn't come from the Bruce. That is an initiative of President Uhuru Kenyatta. When you see Badi in the military, they take orders from their commanders, and the commander-in-chief is President Uhuru Kenyatta. Anything that we are seeing in Nairobi, we thank President Uhuru Kenyatta, because he has brought a man of God who cannot steal funds from Nairobians, who has been able to transform Nairobi in the name of General Badi, led by the President, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He has transformed Nairobi. He has saved Nairobi from the corrupt hands of Sonko, who has dipped his hands into public coffers. And if this case that has got Sonko, I'm wondering, the case that has got Sonko over 300 million shillings, if investigated more, how much more Sonko has stolen without the public knowing and him being taken to court? So over 300 million shillings from Nairobi City County coffers is not small change. So Mr. Sonko is a corrupt man that the president has saved us from, because their party brought this man there. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of the Republic of Kenya, is correcting that mistake by sending Sonko home, and also possibly sending him to corruption, to jail for corruption. Because Mr. Sonko, apart from being a fugitive, he has stolen from Nairobians. He is deplorable. We cannot be able to defend him anymore. Sonko is a fugitive. Sonko is a corrupt man who has let down the president and the party, Jubilee Party.
All right.
Sonko must go to prison, and Sonko must be able to return the money that he stole from the people of Nairobi. And the general under the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta must continue fixing Nairobi. And we are also asking President Uhuru Kenyatta, if they find that here in Meru the governor is stealing, please take over this county. If Mandera they are stealing, take over that county. No matter if it is constitutional or no constitution, Nairobians don't want a constitution that denies them monies that are of Nairobi and I steal billions from Nairobians. You are saying yourself where you live. You are experiencing development and you are also experiencing the touch of development now where you had problems on the road that links to your residence. You are now experiencing development. People in Mukuru, Kwaruben and Kwanjenga are experiencing tarmac for the first time, clean water, toilets, hospitals. Miriam, if that is what it takes to transform Kenya, please, Mr. President, no matter who is president, take over the counties.
All right.
Because we cannot continue this way, Miriam.
Okay.
The outset of these NMS projects, we had a lot of reverberations talking about being unconstitutional. We had people accusing the president of militarizing the county. And, you know, at the end of it all, today, if you conducted a clear research about the opinion of the Nairobians on NMS, they tell you that the best thing that has happened to the electorate in the recent past. And as Douglas is saying, you know, this is the first time slum dwellers have roads being tarmacked in their areas. This is the first time we have the hospitals and clinics being revamped courtesy of the NMS. And therefore, I believe the end justifies the means. At the end of the day, it's all about service delivery. It doesn't matter who is in office. It doesn't matter which decision is being taken by the government. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that Nairobians receive basic services. They get a better life and that they get to gain from the money that are allocated to the county. And therefore, we need to have a very, very sober leadership. And even when we look at the BBI, it was proposed for the Nairobi County to receive some special status. But however,
that has been
it has been rescinded. But however, what we need to do as the people, we have to make sure that never again shall we lower the bar of leadership to get people like Governor Mike Sonko at the helm of the city hall. Because
so Daniel, do you think Sonko's problem here, is it because Major Badi, perhaps after Major Badi they signed that agreement with and you know he gave away some of his responsibilities. Of course, money has to follow the responsibilities, and maybe in his mind he knew Badi, knowing very well this city and the cartels and all that, he knew very well Badi will not be able to deliver. Maybe that is what he thought. But now Badi has gone out of his way and he has really performed in this a few months he's been in office, and he has outshined you know, Sonko and what he's been doing all this year. He's been here as he was the senator and now he's the governor, and this perhaps is the problem that Governor Sonko wants. We know he loves the limelight, and it appears that Badi is outshining him, but in this regard Badi is outshining him in regards to the services that he's been able to deliver, and Kenyans and Nairobians are able to, at least I'm able to see you know, some of these things, and that could be his biggest problem.
Yes, I find it quite very hypocritical that Governor Sonko feels guilted whenever he sees the good work that the Major is doing in town. And he should be very thankful that the Major General is assisting him in delivering on his key projects in the city, and perhaps to come alive and quite cognizant to the fact that this particular individual is not seeking any political office. He's not seeking to be elected in any capacity in Nairobi County, and therefore he should accord him his unwavering support. So to me, I think Sonko, not only that he thought that the cartels will really pervade the implementation of various projects that are under NMS, but we are seeing action of sabotage. The other day, we saw some garbage being dropped in residential places around pipeline in Embakasi. And that one, if you are someone with a very clear conscience and high intuition, you know the politics of the day are at play. And perhaps we have some dissidents who are trying as much as possible to discredit the good work that the Major Badi is doing. So to me, I think, Miriam, at the end of the day, you know, we should not make our politics to be stronger than our development and our economics. And that is what Governor Sonko should know. And he should also be taught to understand that Major Badi is there to do the duty that he has been given by the president. And he's a man from the disciplined forces, and that is what soldiers do. If you are given an assignment, as Douglas said, from your commander, you make sure that you do it with utmost patriotism, with utmost diligence. At the end of the day, it is results that really matter in the military. So, to me, I think Miriam, Sonko, we have very different people with a very stark difference in Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko vis-a-vis Major General Badi. On one side, we have a very diligent public servant, someone who is so much determined to ensure that Nairobians are not deprived of basic services, are not deprived of their development, and their money is put into prudent use at the end of the day. And on the other side, we have a politician who is only concerned about the next election, who more thrives in bravado and shenanigans, and that is who Mike Sonko is, a populist politician who believes that perhaps Sonko rescue team can deliver more to the county than the being able to do flagship projects through the county government itself. So to me, I think, Miriam, these are very two different people, and as it is right now, the people of Nairobi have seen some light of hope and some confidence in what NMS is doing. I rest my case.
All right, very well. So as we
Miriam,
yes.
I have a rejoinder.
All right. Before you rejoin her, I don't know if Javen is still back. Javen, good morning. All right, so Javen has experienced a bit of a signal hitch there, but once he's able to join us back, we shall continue with this conversation. So Douglas, quickly, before we move on to the next item.
Miriam, there's something you and Sean are not getting. Sonko is a corrupt man. He doesn't know any other way. Sonko is rotten to the core. I wish you can play that clip from Miguna that he said Sonko is rotten to the core when they were doing the governorship in 2017. Miguna had a clear perspective on who Governor Sonko is. Governor Sonko is not even concerned about service delivery or anything. Every day, I would see Governor Sonko doing Facebook Live, the way he's doing development in Nairobi. And we live in the same city. This is our city. This is our capital city. And there's no development. You go and take a small place and start doing all manner of things again. The other day, we saw Governor Badi repair so many trucks from the county.
Don't call him Governor Badi now. That will upset Sonko, his General Badi, for you.
Oh, sorry. Sonko is gone. Now. There's no problem. The thing is, my point is, Miriam, Sonko wanted to repair those vehicles with hundreds of millions, and the general used, I think, 22 million shillings. So Sonko, his corruption rubles have been. He can no longer steal the way he used to steal. And now if the general comes with this report in public, Sonko doesn't like it. So Sonko would always continue undermining and also calling NMS an illegal entity that he has appended his signature. Who says, then he goes on Facebook and says when he went to State House, he was given alcohol. I've been to State House and I was not given alcohol. Why was Sonko given alcohol that day? Does Sonko want to tell us the State House, the seat of the residence of the president of Kenya is a brewery? Sonko is a confused, corrupt fellow whose corruption loopholes have been sued by the president of the Republic of Kenya, and Sonko doesn't like it.
So Sonko
believed that,
among others, that is his main problem, among others.
He's a thief. The only thing that he's feeling bad about is that the governor, I don't understand why I'm calling him the governor. The general, Major General Badi, has sealed together with the president of the Republic of Kenya the corruption loopholes. Sonko has been, his plan was to come to Nairobi route and go to Muaids. But unfortunately, the reggae has been stopped. So he's no longer going to steal, he's going to prison, and maybe if he's lucky, he'll come out and go and keep his grandchildren in Muaids. So I rest my case.
All right, very well.
And also, Miriam, what happened in regards to Governor Ferdinand Waititu. We have to make it clear in our laws that whenever a leader, especially a governor, is found culpable of looting public coffers, like Douglas has mentioned, it to greater prosperity. Because remember, Miriam, Nairobi is the face of Kenya. Any visitor, any international guest that comes into this country